Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Slapshot Syndicate. You asked, and we're going to give you this week. Lads, we'll put it out there, big announcement. Maybe somebody coming on. Do you want to drip feed it in there?
Should we tell them?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, right, so this week we've got a special treat for you all. We've got our big talking point, and that's an interview with the one and only Matty Davis.
Absolutely amazing.
What?
Yeah. Big well done to all of us, I think. You know, putting the feelers out there, networking, communicating, and we've managed to pull this in, and the main man himself has accepted.
Got to give big credit to Matty there, haven't we? Like, what he was so receptible and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Even before, like, we placed that little bit of feedback out there, or like, you know, like extended the, you know, almost invitation.
Yeah.
Come on, like, he was just like, anything you need, boys,
Yeah,
X, Y, and Z.
absolutely.
Like, what a guy.
Yeah, it was. His hospitality was great, wasn't it? And, you know, some of the content we got from him was...
Yeah, it was class, wasn't he? You know, it was a good laugh on and off camera. To be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely,
We
yeah.
had a real good rapport with him, and long may it continue.
Yeah, 100%.
But before you get too excited, let's rein it back in, and we're going to start with Seahawks reaction. So, fellas, another good weekend for the Hull Seahawks. Do we start with the main point of the week? That was, we was the only team to get 4 points.
I was just going to say that. I was hoping you weren't going to, so I first, yeah.
You're not taking that one off me. I mean, that is quite a weird stat, isn't it, really? That we was the only team in the weekend to get 4 points. And we had to fight hard for it as well.
Yeah.
You know, over the weekend. So, as much as, you know, we'll go into Saturday's game where we sort of cruised, Sunday was obviously very different in the way that played out, but we came up with the second point. So, yeah, 4 point weekend. We'll start with Saturday's game, Hull Seahawks and Romford Raiders.
Yeah, so what was your initial thoughts on this, lads? It was quite a fast-paced game from the off, wasn't it? You know, we managed to get some points on the board relatively quickly, and before you know it, it felt like Romford was chasing us for the rest of the game. So
Yeah, I don't know what it was, to be fair. I mean, it was a bit of a joke from us to start with. I remember watching, and like we was firing passes at each other, left, right, and centre. It was just going straight to the players' tapes, and I remember some of the goals were really nice on the night. And it wasn't necessarily that Romford was bad, I don't think, to start with. I just think we was on another level.
When we had the puck at our stick, it was, they don't get off us, could they?
Like you say, it was quick, snappy. You know, there was no fumbles of the puck. It was all consistently high level play from every player on the ice. And like you say, we ran ahead and got a few early goals and sort of, you know, sat in our lead for a long time.
I'm going to poke it out there. Is that the best period we've had this at home? We'll go first period. That must be the best first period we've had. Like we said, they weren't anywhere near us, and again, like you say, they weren't giving Raiders weren't giving loads of penalties away.
No.
You know, it was just, it's like they had a fire up the backside, and it just looked like we're gonna kill this early doors, didn't it?
yeah, well, we were 4-0 up after the first period. I think some legend was saying near us, we want 10. I don't know what that was, but
No,
For me, it was a bit of a weird one. Like you say about, was it the best period we've ever played? I don't want to be disrespectful
this
to
season,
Raiders, but like, if that had been against Milton Keynes or Swindon or Leeds, I'd say, absolutely. But visually, watching, it was probably the best looking hockey we've played all season, because it was just, you know, we was putting goals away, snappy passes. But you're not going to complain like that, are you? You know, your home game and you're 4-0 up end of the first and you've absolutely cruised.
yeah.
with a D-man coming up 5 points.
Unbelievable, I know.
It's a bit of a joke,
Some
isn't
like.
it? Yeah, it's a notable performance there to Lee Haywood.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, what else can you say?
But not massively known for his sort of, you know, output on points, to be fair, which, you know, you don't have an issue with that. You want him to be a defender first.
Yeah.
When you can have nights like that, then it's a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We've said previously, haven't we, how important Lee Haywood was when we missed him for that little part. Like, Saturday just showed that, didn't it? And you know, at his age and stuff like that, people probably write him off a little bit. And you know, the fact that he was at Steel Dogs last year, and obviously, you know, their season went, and same as Huey as well. But just look at the impact that they've had since they've come into our team. They've probably replaced what we kind of didn't have last year. And if we did have it, perhaps, you know, things in the cup final or something like that could have been different.
Serial winners.
Yeah.
Players that have been there, won it.
Yeah.
And when you bring that in, that experience, you know, what they don't have in pace much anymore, they've made up with a bit of know-how and they can read the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was just looking, you see the results, and between the likes of Lee Haywood and Hewitt, they've got some, like, is it 7 points in that game between them?
Yeah.
That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, Huey with 2 goals himself, but even when he won on the first or the second assist, like, you could just tell it was there all night. That second line was unreal, wasn't they?
Yeah.
After the first period, that second line ran it.
Yeah.
Third line obviously did great as well. They were grafting and stuff.
They got a lot more ice time as well because of how dominant he was and how he sort of cruised through the game.
We sort of just killed it in the first, didn't we? But
Yeah.
you've got to give that shout out to that second line. You know, Cornel, Bonds and
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bones got 2 himself, didn't he?
Bonds.
He was on for his actually. I was actually really hoping he was going to
Yeah, I was as well.
There was a moment he went in 1-on-1, didn't he? And it just thought, it's nothing but net. But yeah, bit of a tough one to take when he was playing so well. But understandably, it's quite a big ask, isn't it? Scoring that trick against a relatively good team as well in Romford. Let's not forget that these have come off the back of a couple of losses, but they've also had some decent wins.
Yeah, they have. Maybe it was just down to an eye on the cup final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can obviously have a big impact. It will be a big game for them. If they can go and get something out of that cup final, then they'll just say it was all worth it in the end.
They won't care about a loss to the Seahawks or if they can do that next
How many
week.
times have we said it now? The likes of Swindon and Co have all turned up to the Hull Arena and have left with nothing or very little. You know what I mean? So it proves that when teams come to our place, it's a very hard place to come and play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do we mention that Sean Miller getting it in the old crown jewels? That was a bit rough, wasn't it?
You know what? He was already having a hell of a night from the fans, wasn't he? Especially where we sit. Everyone was on him. Yeah. Everyone was on him. When they were coming off for periods, everyone was giving him loads.
But that's a credit to him though, because of what he's done this season.
100%.
His points tally.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
obviously targeting someone to throw him off the game.
Yeah,
and to be fair, like you say, we mentioned how we played in that first period, and he couldn't get into the game.
No.
I know he did score on the night.
Mm-hmm.
He possibly assisted at some point as well. I know Sylvester got a couple on the night, but largely they couldn't get their game going.
No,
when you looked at Sean Miller, and you think, ooh, 70 plus points this season.
Yeah,
He could have a
definitely.
game against us. We kept him quiet.
He was still a standout performer though. Let's be honest, but. Yeah, all in all, it was a good night.
Yeah,
good night.
Absolutely massive. And then obviously rolled into Sunday.
Yeah.
Away at Peterborough Phantoms, and I know we was tied up in something, so we was trying to keep an eye on this online.
Yeah.
And
can I reiterate what I said last week? This is going to be a sticky one, and it was a sticky one. Let's be fair.
yeah,
This wasn't as easy as we expected walking in, and going to Peterborough is never going to be easy, is it? Let's be fair, but we said, didn't we, that this might be a potential banana skin, and they've come out with 2 points, which is great, but Peterborough didn't make it easy, did they?
no, it was just a bit of to me to you on it with the goals. It was just we're going to score, you're going to score, and it was just back and forth all the way through. And like I say, in the end, it went right through up to overtime, and that's how it was settled in the end. And fortunately, that was in our favour.
Yeah, I mean these games they're nerve-wracking for watching, but do you know what I would say? It's even worse when you're waiting for the updates.
Yeah,
to come through on Twitter, and you're like,
constantly pulling on the top of the screen, like you just refreshing
the NIHL website. It's like, come on. Yeah, I'm totally with you with that. But should we throw it out there? Can we call him this the king of overtime? Because 2 overtime wins. The shootout win against Swindon the other week, and he's got as well. Maybe won't go as far as saying the king of overtime, but. No, Emmy's coming clutch for us a couple of times now, isn't he?
Your imports, your big players, they're the moments that you count on them the most. So when it goes down to 3-on-3, there's a bit more space on the ice, and these players can do what they want.
Yeah.
And Emmy sort of obviously thrives under that. He gets the puck, and I don't know how he scored. We followed it online, so.
Correct me if you're right. I think it was on a power play, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So looking there, it
was.
Power play. Yeah.
4-on-3.
Yeah. But
interesting.
Again, notable performances from Johnny Cornel.
Yeah.
Coming up trumps. You've got the likes of Sobe again getting it on the score sheet.
Nice to see him score, isn't it?
He's still been a joke on the ice, like skating around like no one's business. But do you know what? I think he's had a bit of a tough time recently scoring. He seemed to have such momentum. He's banging them away every week, and he's still obviously up there with the points, but he's not been scoring as many.
I think it's been more of a hard work ethic, and now the goals are starting to fall for him. Yeah. I know we've obviously highlighted the fact he's had a great weekend this weekend, and we'll mention that in our next segment. But yeah, like you say, and I know Matty Davis would say the same. He's a hard worker, and that is first and foremost what you want out of a player.
I don't think we can say there's many performances, if any, where you've come away from the game and you thought he was so lazy tonight, or he couldn't be arsed tonight, or anything like that. If you're not getting goals and assists, which 9 times out of 10 you are from Sobchak, you're getting 100% effort, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're a British lad or another member of that team, and you're looking at your import and he's leading the way like that, you can understand why we're getting so many points at home, and these victories away, can't you? So
definitely,
it's a testament to them.
And I think just one thing to mention on this game to emphasise how close it actually was. I mean, you got 41 and 46 shots, 41 for Peter, 46 for Hull. I mean, that's a very tight game, and to be honest, I'm a bit gutted I didn't watch it. I know we was tied up doing other things, but that would have been a great one to actually sit and watch. Although I'm not too sure my nerves would have taken it. But yeah, you're just looking at the stats. If you are interested, I would go online and really narrow in on this game and just look at how close it actually was. Just showing that the fight's on. Obviously coming into playoffs and stuff. It's anyone's game, innit? So,
yeah, I think I mentioned that. I think it was bigger for Peterborough this weekend to try and get them extra points because they're trying to close that gap on us and Steel Dogs around them. So I think they might be happy they've taken a point in that game, but I think ultimately they'd like to have taken both.
Definitely.
So yeah, we'll leave it at that, shall we? Good weekend, 4 points. We'll reiterate again. The only team to do it this weekend. Long may it continue.
Yeah,
definitely.
So now we're going to look at the fixtures from the past weekend and the Thursday night, boys. So let's jump straight into it. Thursday, 6th of Feb, we had Peterborough Phantoms and the Bees. I know you're going to absolutely destroy me for this. So go on. Go on.
You know
I
what?
don't mind.
It's a tough old do that, going to Peterborough on a Thursday night, innit?
Yeah.
Probably after half of them being at work and stuff like that. And like we said, Peterborough's not the easiest place to go, is it? And
I think it showed in the game though, because I think we mentioned it and there was a bit of chatter online, but there was an incident between Salem, I think, and
their keeper,
the Bees goalkeeper, and it sort of kicked up a bit. And I can't remember exactly what had happened. Did somebody get ejected?
I've read a little bit more into this. I saw the drops bit. So apparently Salem was tripped by a Bees player because initially I think Salem got 5+ a game for interfering with the keeper, and the keeper's got 5+ for fighting or something like that. Because the Bees keeper had to do the last 7 minutes. The backup had to do the last 7 minutes. But actually, it got Dops lowered it down because initially Salem got tripped, and then I think he might have been tripped into the keeper or something. I'm not seeing the video.
So he can't control his
So he's gone into the keeper, and I think the keeper's probably thought that Salem was barging him, and keeper's levered him in the body a few times. I think maybe using his blocker or something, but so that's why it was brought down. So in the end, the keeper and Salem both went down to 2-minute measures.
Yeah, I remember reading it got a bit messy, and I was like, oh, is that a bit of frustration on the Bees part there?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was 6-0 to the Peterborough Phantoms, so that's a good result for them, not so good for the Bees. No. And I'll say what I say every week. If you can put a 1 in that margin, it looks a hell of a lot better, especially on a Thursday night with the travel.
And I quite like that by Dops, reducing the penalties because an already underbenched Berkshire, you don't really want to add to it, do you?
Yeah, that's true. Their keeper's a big player for them, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
For him to not have that would be a nightmare, really.
Yeah.
But moving on into Saturday's games, 8th of Feb.
Yeah, so first game of the weekend, Hull Seahawks, Romford Raiders, which we've already mentioned. Big win for Seahawks, 8-4. Mm-hmm. Nice for us, nice stroll through game. Next game was Swindon Wildcats and Solway Sharks.
Hey, I tell you what, this was closer than you'd thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Swindon's only game of the weekend, this, and
I think they might be
Solway giving it.
Yeah, a bit frustrated. I'd have thought, like you say, only game of the weekend. Maybe looked at the Sharks and thought, we'll give these a bit of an hard in.
Yeah,
we'll go on our jollies and set the point. Yeah. In the end, 6-5 win for Swindon. Like you say, a lot closer than a few might have imagined.
Fair play to the Sharks here, though. To be fair, but to get to keep bouncing back and stuff like that, and I think it was 5-5 as well, and Swindon got their 6th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
It's a good old effort from Solway there. You got to give them the credit when they it's due.
Swindon have had to graft hard for that one, haven't they? So I'm sure they'll be delighted to come away with the 2 points, but I'm also sure they'd like to have done it a bit easier than that. So.
A bit more convincing.
Yeah.
Be a good watch for the neutral there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Swindon fan.
Yeah, like you. You're a big Swindon fan.
Yeah.
Me?
So, next fixture on that weekend was the Bees and Telford Tigers, which was the first of their double header. I think we had a bit of discussion backwards and forwards on this one. Obviously, you will be a bit happier being a Telford Tiger fans. Telford taking it 5-3.
I just like them. They're just gritty. I like that in the team. But yeah, again though, quite a tight game really. We just come back to this thing of saying, any team can beat any other team on any given night.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is proof of that. It's tough at the top, it's tough in the middle, and it's tough at the bottom. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad Telford got the win. To be honest, like I said, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for them, but relatively respectable for the Bees. I don't think there was whatsoever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, coming back after that Thursday night where they got trumped 6-0, you know what I mean? To be able to firstly get on the scoreboard and make a game of it is big credit for them to get themselves back into it.
Pick yourself up.
Get back in there, try and get a result, and unfortunately it didn't come from on Saturday.
Yeah, so then on to the big game on the Saturday. I mean,
we had a bit of a talk between us, didn't we, about which way this could have gone. I'm sure there was some sort of monetary value in there, something. I'm sure you should be putting a far number in there.
So, I'll send you it, mate. As long as we can have a payment plan.
Well, I'm sure we can figure out something. If not, I'll send Rossy round to beat it out.
Yeah. You joking?
About that.
So yeah, Milton Keynes, Leeds Knights. A double header for the weekend, and boy, I'm sure there was a lot of eyes on that one.
It's a double header.
No, I think we did sort of always take you home ice, and the weekend it didn't go that way at all.
No.
I think I may have also guessed both games, but we'll get into that after. Yeah. So yeah, Leeds Knights took it in Milton Keynes, 4-2 win.
That took them back to the top as well, didn't it?
I was just going to say that put them back on the top of the table.
It is.
And then as we'll get into it, they then drop back into second on the Sunday. But
you got to give them credit there though. MK do not lose at home very often, do they? So to go in there and beat them 4-2 was a very good result.
Yeah, it's always a packed house for MK, and I can imagine it was nigh on a sellout there. They do take about 2,500 in there, so you can imagine the place was bouncing.
100%.
Yeah, I would love to watch this one if I was able to be honest, because we mentioned it, didn't we, last week? And we knew it was going to be a spectacle, but close as well, very close.
Was one that was falling in the stands as well. That Seahawks one, it was
yeah.
refreshing. It was good.
Yeah, trying to keep abreast of everything. Yeah, but yeah, again, just showing how exciting the league is and how good these teams are.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like when you know you're very good, but you've got a few teams doing the same thing, it's really hard not to wobble. Because how easy is it? With football, like you can just have a game where your head just switches off. Yeah. Cannot do this.
No,
especially
I don't know if you two have heard. I was talking to my old man during our game on Saturday, and we was on about obviously this situation with Milton Keynes and Leeds, and in the past few years you could probably have a bit of a wobble like Seahawks have had. We've let a few goals and we've just let a few points slip away. You'd normally be alright. Yeah. Now the standard of the league is what it is. You can't afford to have these little blips in a season because, it proves we're in fourth.
Makes it such a good watch for everybody though, doesn't it? Like you say, in the past few years, I know it's Yorkshire and this, that, the other, but when it's got to this stage in the season, Leeds are about 60 points ahead of everybody else. It's Leeds are going to win this weekend, happy days. If they don't win, it's like, hey, Leeds lost, but they're still like, haha, we're going to win the league, Whereas now, one game, it's like, oh, it's completely changed, and flipping it, like, it's so good to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So moving on.
So
now Feb Sunday.
Yeah, Sundays.
This was a day. This wasn't it? What for the results? Like if you're not an NIHL National Division fan, just go on the website and have a look at Sunday's fixtures, because if you want before, you're gonna go to a game because it was mental, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we'll talk about obviously the big stat of Sunday to start with. There was only one game that didn't go into overtime or a shootout.
Yeah.
Which is madness, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
don't recall a weekend like that.
Yeah,
point.
just supporting our prior point of saying how competitive the league
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
In one day, you just show that it's anyone's.
Yeah.
So we start off with Bristol and Solway.
Bristol. No.
Bulldogs. 6-5 shootout though. So, Solway had some tight games, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, to be fair. They give a good game and a good credit themselves against Swindon, and then obviously they come out and had a go with Pit Bulls, and unfortunately they didn't come out with it again.
It's a tough one to score 10 goals and get 1 point in a weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a bit of a tough one to take, I think.
Yeah. So then moving on, Leeds against MK again.
So again,
even closer result this time.
Yeah. So Milton Keynes taking it this time at the Castle, 3-2 victory. I bet it must have been tough to not just do it for one night, but then to go with the same mentality, same energy for a second night back to back.
Back yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about other sports like in football we've got Liverpool, Man City seems like one of the big games of the Premier League fixture. They play each other and then they don't see each other again for months.
Yeah.
We're talking about two teams that are neck and neck, first and second in the league, and they're going to play each other back to back. I mean, I just don't know how you get yourself ready for that, to be honest.
Do you know what's crazy is that throughout these two games these are played this weekend, MK had scored 5 and Leeds had scored 6. There was in 120 minutes.
Yeah.
There was 1 goal in it.
Yeah. Crazy.
1 goal difference. That's pretty crazy.
One to note from this game as well. Obviously, MK have gone and took the points from the Castle, but on the third goal, Tim Wallace was one who got the assist. Now, as the gaffer, on that second night, you're like, right, we need to go take this. How sweet will it have been for him to be one of the people who, I think he was the immediate assist as well, and I think it was Cowney who scored the third goal.
Yeah, I think it was.
How in that changing room, I bet it was bouncing. I bet he's walking in there as if like, what did I say? I told you, didn't I? But going forward now, if Wallace is there saying this, that, and the other, and he's the one that's sort of helped that goal, how much are you going to get behind him going forward from this? He's the boy to lead us. Got to go,
But going back to what we said, we initially said as long as you defend your home ice, and we said, if you're Milton Keynes, probably Leeds as well, you'd have been happy if you'd have just taken 1 win this weekend, because it still keeps you at the same point, and you can just battle it out over the next few weeks. I think we had a look at MK's fixtures towards the end of the season, the last home games, and they've still got to play like Swindon and Leeds again. There's still chances where it could toss and turn. I honestly think both teams would be quite happy with that, to be honest with you. Probably been better if they'd have won on home ice, but you take what you can take in a 2-point weekend.
Yeah, it sort of feels like no harm, no foul both ways, and Leeds, like you say, they're going to keep their spot.
Just a little test of each other.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll all go even, but we've had a test to see what you're about.
Are you as good as we think you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then moving on, Romford Raiders, Sheffield Steel Dogs. 4-3 overtime to Steel Dogs.
Yeah, so obviously Romford came to us. Like we mentioned, they couldn't really handle us at all. They seemed to be a bit off it. And then obviously they play with the Steel Dogs, and unfortunately they didn't get a win again. But
yeah, but Sheffield are a good team. And look what they did to us the other weekend. I know we was not on it, but you said it's their cup final.
Sheffield are another team as well. Actually, they only had 1 game this weekend, so they'll have been going into that fresh, but. It's not great for the Raiders going into the cup final next week. It's 12 goals in a weekend. It's not the kind of weekend that they wanted going into the cup final.
Not with a free scoring Leeds team. It's if you'd kept the door shut a bit more, you'd been a bit happier. Like at least we're defensively sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit harder in ice hockey, and you're always going to take loads of shots on goals.
Against MK as well, like they've had 2. It looks like they've had 2 good performances as well. You sort of like,
Yeah, but no. Good performance from Steel Dog. I'm sure they'll be buzzing to come away with 1 point. Peterborough Phantoms, Hull Seahawks, 6-5 overtime. We have obviously touched on this because we had prior commitments. She was
coming soon.
We had prior commitments and nail biting. Just trying to keep on top again. It was back and forth. As soon as one team scored, the other team equalised, and it just kept going like that. So.
I think it was at most probably 2 goals either side. So I think at one point, like Peterborough was 4-2 up, and then we sort of pulled it back. And, I bet it was a great watch, to be honest with you. A bit frustrating, probably as obviously a fan, you'd be like, why can we not just come on, get our grasp on the game? But good for a watch on that, I imagine.
Yeah, took them 2 points again on the Sunday to give us that 4-point weekend. So absolutely buzzing for that for us. But last game of the weekend, Telford Tigers, Berkshire Peas. Overtime again.
Yeah, so it concluded obviously the double header between these two for this weekend. You know, I'm quite happy, to be fair, that both teams got a win out of it.
Yeah.
You know, probably more in favour of Telford, because obviously they got 3 points out of it, whereas obviously Bees only got the 2. Yeah. But I'm happy for the Bees. They've got a nice win there.
Tough old schedule, that 3 games, 4 days, isn't it? So
it
was good that finally in the last game they got something out of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even if it had been like a point in overtime, like the fact that they've gone and grabbed that 2 points.
Absolutely.
You know, like you can't look at the Bees and be like, I hate them. I want them to get smashed every game. Like, come on, you know.
You've got to have a little bit of love for them.
I
know we do. Well, certainly I've bashed them a little bit recently, but it's all in jest. So.
Of course.
Hats off to them. They're doing a great job for what they've got. So.
I think it's a good foundation for next season, to be fair. I think if we can bring in more bodies, maybe a bit more, I don't want to say quality because it's a bit disrespectful for them, but a bit more experience, a bit of that know-how in games.
Yeah.
You know, there could be a real contender for some playoffs next season.
After this season, they've been running on bare bones, haven't they? If they get legs in the door, you know, maybe a couple of lads from the NIHL one who can take that step up and stuff, you know.
Like you say, if there's a bit of fatigue in there, an extra line like we say about our third line, just legs on there.
Yeah. Ennis has been good, hasn't he, since he's been in. They've got that goodbye. You know, I think he recently got 200 points as well. His 200th point for the Bees, which is a nice touch in it. But you know, Mr. Reliable, and I'm about 99% sure that he got a couple in that game. So
yeah, all in all, very entertaining weekend. So should we move on to the standings?
Yeah, let's have a look and see what we're looking at now. And obviously we touched upon Milton Keynes and Leeds playing each other this weekend and how it changed. So Leeds was on top, it flipped back to Milton Keynes being on top. So having a look, Milton Keynes top, 42 played, 64 points. Leeds follow up in second, 42 played, 63 points. Still only that 1 point in it. As we said, there's Milton Keynes. I know we've seen their fixture list for being at home. They've got to play a few more of the top teams again before the end of the season, so it can still go either way. And that also applies for Swindon in third. You know, they've played 42, 60 points. It's only 4 points in it. I know for a fact Swindon have got to play Milton Keynes twice.
Yeah.
So they can pull it back just in the games that they're going to play against Milton Keynes. So a lot to play for still, and it'll be an interesting run into the final sort of few weeks. 100%.
So Leeds, obviously we've gone over that. Swindon, 42, 60 points in third position. Then Seahawks, fourth position, 42 played, 53 points.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a gap there between the top 3, but
we've looked like we're going to threaten maybe, and then we've sort of just backed off. One game's dropped us, and it's dropped us back to that 6 or 7 point gap, which it's sort of always been for a little while now.
Yeah, but all in all, we seem to be performing relatively well and
steady in that 4th position, aren't we?
Yeah, we've obviously you don't want to take it for granted because teams can pick up points really easy, and well, not easy in hockey, but it can happen like that. So
I mean, like you said, well, after Seahawks we've got Sheffield Steel Dogs. They've played 43, 50 points, so we've got a game in hand on those, 3 point gap. So in theory we could push that to 5 points, which would be really nice for us. Yeah. Following Sheffield, it's Peterborough Phantoms, 42 played, 48 points. So again, we've got a nice cushion on them. Thankfully getting those 4 points this weekend and the extra point against them then.
They can also make a game up against Sheffield, can't they?
They can, so they can go level.
It's a tough little deal, that, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting.
Romford in 7th, 42 played, 42 points. I wouldn't have got that one wrong, would I? 42 and 42. Telford in 8th place and currently the final playoff position. They've played 43 and got 36 points. Would you say it's probably a bit far-fetched for them to gain a place now?
Possibly so. I think they'll be happy that they've now got that space. Obviously, they've got 3 points this weekend. Yeah. They're a point ahead of Solway, who are in 9.
So getting that 8 points, won't they, to try and get.
But going to, I know they lost against Bees in the shootout. In the second game, but they got that extra point. That point's now put them point clear in 8th.
Disappointed for Solway to drop out here.
Yeah, I think as we've said, they've scored a lot of goals this weekend, but haven't got the results, which will be probably quite frustrating for them, and they've got some good players down there, so I think they'll have to try and refocus now.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that they've dropped out that playoff spots might just give them that bit more of incentive to, right lads, we need to get going again.
I tell you what, it has to though, doesn't it? I mean, they've obviously got a game on Telford, and they only need to make a couple of points to be level. So,
but Telford are threatening. They've said, you know, look at us now, we're above you.
Yeah.
What you
but
got?
what one win for Solway, coming away with 2 points. All of a sudden they're above them and they're level on games. So
I'd like to see the form table as well, because I'm sure Telford have got quite a few good results recently. They're starting to build a bit of form, aren't they? In comparison to Sharks, who again they're scoring goals, but they're not getting over the line.
Well, this is it. You know, Telford are forcing the hand of Solway now. Like you say, they've got a game in hand, Solway, but they've got to go win it. And Telford are just there saying, "You don't win it, we're staying here."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going to force the hand of Solway. They might have to be a bit more aggressive in their play.
Yeah. Then we've got Bristol in 10th position, 42 games played and 30 points.
Yeah, so they're 6 points off Telford. So, to be fair, it probably looks a bit out of sight again. You know, as much as Seahawks were 6 or 7 behind Swindon towards the top, they're still in the sort of position I just don't see them quite pulling that back, to be honest.
Yeah. And then we've got the Bees in 11th position, 42 played, 26 points. So
I think we said it last week, it'd just be nice for the Bees to maybe just get off the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
If they just finish, you know, in 10th, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
You know, that's a nice little result for them for spending most of the season down there.
yeah. So we're going to have to start making predictions for Final Four, aren't we? We'll save that one.
Yeah, we'll save that. You know, obviously, I believe it's Milton Keynes, Leeds and Swindon now that have fully qualified for the playoffs they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Seahawks will be next in the coming weekend. That should thereabouts secure us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the last 4 places.
Mm-hmm.
So make an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
That finishes this segment on the past fixtures and standings. So normally this is the point where I'd say we're going to look at our stars of the week. But instead we've decided to chuck that
in the bin.
Straight in the bin. We've come up with a better idea. Because we've normally had a bit of a struggle to pick between, you know, forwards, goalkeepers and defencemen. It's a bit tough in it to pick those out. We've decided to start a new little regime, and it's going to be the Slapshot Syndicate Team of the Week.
Love it.
Absolutely brilliant. You know, now we can sort of cover all bases. If a goaltender's being class, we can put them in. Defencemen, obviously forwards, and we can have a good variation. A lot of people obviously just look at goal scorers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we want to try and give credit to everyone, don't we, at the end of the day? And, you know, it's going to be really difficult for a goalie to be on the star of the week, so I think Team of the Week is just going to be so much more fitting and allow us to give shout-outs to those people that really deserve it, but might not be the ones that score the goals.
I think how good is that as well, to be able to give a goalkeeper plaudits, because, you know, they might be on a team that's got 1 or 2 points a weekend, but they've got like a 96, 97 save percentage, or, you know, they've stood on their head, and, you know, I mean, it's great to give everybody a shout out, isn't it? You know, 2 D-men, forward line and a goalie. What's not to love?
Yeah. I think it was just really nice to see the variation in sort of like the 5 men that we're going to get on the team. It'll be quite interesting. You know, it's with forwards we've had Jake the Snake on there for a few times. Yeah. So have a different 5 potentially every week. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So with that, let's get into it. So our team of the week, our goaltender. Does anybody want to take this one? I'll
take it. Hayden Levine from the Peterborough Phantoms. So Hayden had a shutout on Thursday against the Bees, as we said, 6-0 victory, 100% save percentage, what's not to love. And then he had a tough all time against our Seahawks on the Sunday. But, you know, I think it was 40 out of 46 shots saved, so his save percentage was up there. Yeah. And actually, got an assist as well.
Yeah.
A goaltender that gets points
not very often, that is it?
No.
So something you got to love. So well done, Hayden. You're our goaltending player of the week.
Yeah, so going on to our first D-man of the week, one of our own, Lee Hayward.
Wow,
some weekend.
You know, we mentioned him when we reflected on obviously our games of the weekend, and he was a standout performer. You know, sometimes goes under the radar, sometimes it's, you know, oh, what's Lee doing? You know, is he even playing, sort of thing. But, you know, he really shone this weekend, and fair play to him.
He might be in for a shout. He might be in for a shout of the player of the weekend, you know.
Can we just talk about his goal?
Amazing goal. Turned into Owen Sobchak. But must have put Sobchak skates on as a whistled his way through. It was scenes, wasn't it?
Just from right to left and a quick snap, and it would just bang bottom pocket, and it was just, where's he pulled that from? He's obviously been watching Serbian and the like for a while now, and he's just picked up that goal scoring prowess.
Yeah, we won't be able to leave him out of this team of the week. So that's
Yeah.
first D-man. Second D-man, Noel McMullen.
Yeah, you know, Leeds Knights had a tough weekend this weekend, obviously with Milton Keynes, but you know, we've picked Noah because he had an absolute cracking weekend. So.
Couple of points against MK as well. Couple of assists on the Saturday night,
Nice,
which ultimately got them their win. I think he got 2 assists, so without those,
Yeah.
you know, it's 2-2
And again into really tight and
Oh yeah,
100%. You know, MK can turn up to your gaff, can't they? And they can score as many goals as they want. So you need strong D-men who are going to keep them quiet.
getting them points in those games. Just you've got to give merit to it because it's always going to be hard to get points. But in such a high-paced and high-level game, it shines through even more, doesn't it? So
yeah, obviously you want to neutralise the opposition's forward men, which obviously those two teams, the forward men are on the business. That's why they are where they are in the league.
Yeah.
So when you neutralise them, and then you just count on somebody different to come in, and a defenceman comes in and says, you know what, I'm going to pick up 3 assists this weekend. Thank you very much.
He's one of those players as well. Obviously, one of Leeds' imports that I don't think gets as much credit as he deserves. He's a really, really important part of Leeds' team, isn't he?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not gonna compare him to like Brock for us last season, for example, because I do think he's more of a defensive player.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're looking at Leeds results and stuff like that, if you actually look through the stats, you'll be very surprised at how many points he's actually got. So, you know, someone who's that tardy defensively and also is contributing points. If you're the manager, you can't win at that, can you?
Yeah. So should we move on to our forwards?
Forwards, yeah. So the first one is Peter Phantom's Luke Ferrara.
Yeah.
Deserves to be on here again. Obviously, had an absolute stellar game against Seahawks on the Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, and he ended up with 3 goals, 3 assists this weekend. So good all round. He's put the puck in the back of the net and he's put it on a plate for somebody to also score. I mean, what more do you want as a
Leading
forward?
by example as captain as well of the Phantoms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So massively deserved to go in there.
Well done, Luke.
And then we've got Johnny Corneal.
Yeah, again, as we mentioned, for the Hull Seahawks, sometimes goes under the radar compared to likes of Sobchak and Svek. But the gritty dog has come out and bagged some points to back up them hard, gritty performances. And
3 goals, 4 assists.
Yeah, massively deserves to go into the team.
Well done, Johnny.
Go on then, I'll let you round up.
The last forward for our team of the week, our boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the
Bulldogs.
Mitch Walensky, making up our final member of our forward line. 3 goals, 1 assist in Bristol's only game this weekend, and an overtime winner. What's not to love about that?
Yeah, that's class, like you say, for those teams that are battling down at the bottom, you know, trying to fight for those last playoff spots. You need big characters.
Notable as well, like you said, sorry to interrupt you there, but against Solway, who are just above them, almost as if to say,
those points matter, don't they?
Yeah, you're not getting away from us that easy.
Absolutely. So yeah.
Yeah, well done to everybody. It's a difficult thing to get into, so yeah, go crack yourself a bottle of champagne.
So now we're on to our segment where we usually have a big talking point. As we alluded to at the beginning of the episode, things are a bit different. So without further ado, should we get into it, boys?
Yeah.
This week we have the man, Matty Davis. Roll the clip. Hello folks, so the cat's out the bag. We're here at the Hull Arena and we're joined by Matty Davis. Thanks for taking the time out and having a chat with us, mate.
Yeah, cheers for having me, lads, and it's good to see you down here. And like I say, I think it's been great what you've been doing, and happy to come on and have a chat.
Yeah, we appreciate that. You know, we're trying to be open, maybe a bit controversial at times, so we hope we haven't offended you at all at any point.
Mate, I'm the one who usually offends me, so I get it. No, it's good. I think it's what it needs. The game needs more talking about it. And look, I think we saw it with the other week. You know, it's the biggest indoor sport watched, and it's just mad that it's not out there more. Obviously, the people who watch it, they love it. You know, they're in there, but it's things like this and just more. You know, getting out there in the media and just, you know, bigger stages, obviously, but yeah, it's just what it needs, just to get eyeballs on it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously we talked about this in a previous episode about obviously how the sport had grown and got that sort of acclaim. So we couldn't believe it seeing that. I mean, I know we talked about it before, and we wanted to say to you, like, seeing that, I know a couple of elite league players have come out and said about what they would see as a potential future for the game. As an owner and a coach, the first one that came out was about players' wages. How do you feel about that, both from a coach and an owner's perspective?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think, like, you know, being on sort of the other side of it, you know, before doing all this, you know, you're just playing, and you sort of, you know your worth, and you also, you understand that it's not gonna, you know, set you up for the rest of your life. So it's like that, you sort of playing, and it's just like, for some lads it's a really good, like, especially in this league, it's a good second income really for some lads. But then obviously the other side of that is, you know, the elite league, they're full time, and I'll be honest, I think everyone's underpaid in general, but I think, like, the elite league and sort of being at that level before, I think, like, at the end of the day, it's, no matter what you say, it's the top level, the full time. And if you look at the games and how many games they're playing, compared to other sports, it's pretty mental really how much they have to go through. So for me, it's like both sides of it. You know, I've been the other side where you want more money, you think you're worth more money, but then on this side of it, look, it's got to work financially, and that's the biggest thing for me. And sort of this, sort of the last 3 years of this, but the next up and coming years, it's like there's a real fine line between, I want to win more than anybody, trust me, but I also want this to be here for a long time, and we've seen in the past what's happened with falling away and stuff, and that I just won't have that while I'm here. I just won't have it. So no, you got to be smart. You got to work hard. You got to get people in the building. You got to get commercial partners. You've got to get. It's got to be in a financially strong position for you to want to win and to do that. But yeah, on the players' side, look, everyone deserves more money. It's a great sport, and it's something that when people go and watch, they love it. You know, kids especially. It's massive for us here, and you just think, like, you know, how do you get more seats in here? You know what I mean? To get more people in here, which essentially will then, you know, go to, you know, more the players and the trickle down effect. But you're also dealing with a sport that's got essentially zero funding or like any sort of like TV money, or so you're just dealing with like just businesses on their own trying to make it work. And I mean, the elite league now is up to a point, like, it's one of the best leagues around now in Europe, and you know, they're competing with them big leagues a lot. You know, you've got a massive disparity between, you know, your Steelers and your Cardiff and your Belfasts, you know, to the Dundees and that, and that's, it must be really difficult, because, you know, what them lads are spending at the top now to be at the top, and to bring, you know, proper players that are essentially straight out of the American League, or, you know, we've seen a lot here from that have had NHL games. So look, it's going one way, and I think it's probably only going to keep going. But again, it's got to be sustainable, and at some point, you know, the talk always is about like TV deals and all this sort of stuff, and I think until that happens, you know, the real money just it'll be tough. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can charge for a ticket. Absolutely. There's only so much you're going to get from a sponsorship deal. You know, the rest of it's got to be more eyeballs on it. Well, how do you do that? And it's TV. You know, every club's got their own streaming thing, but again, it's fans from the away team that are buying it. It's not the full country. So it's, yeah, until that, I don't think we'll see the proper money or the, you know, what the lads probably deserve really. So.
Yeah. Is there an agreement amongst all these sort of coaches in, say, like our league, where we say this is the cap we're going to stick to and move on, or are we waiting for one person maybe to just go, well, I'm going to push the limits of this and push a bit more, and
doing the Man City thing and just paying people?
Yeah, I think, look, it's there's been many like conversations around this, and sort of, you know, without saying too much, there's always been a figure, but you know, it's one of them. You know, people want to win. People want to win, and I get it, you know, and I think, you know, without sort of saying it, I think everyone realises, like, you've got a team like MK that, let's be honest here, they're getting 2,500 pretty much every week. The money's there. Yeah. They want to win. So look, you can slag them off or say it's unfair as much as you want, but look, they're doing really well off the ice, and it's clearly showing with how many people turn up to the game. So it's a tough one. It's tricky.
I think one thing to note as well, like, we've obviously got some great attendances now. So
we mentioned, didn't we, on the podcast how we got into it, and said you only have to go to one game, and I feel like you'll be hooked for the rest of your life. We talked about obviously the coverage on TV, being able to watch it, NIHL and stuff, but there's that many breaks in the game. Yeah. You can see how people would just walk away from it. Yeah. Being here in the thick of it with the atmosphere of the crowd, it just hooks you straight away, doesn't it? So I mean, how do you get more people in this arena? Obviously, there's only a limited amount of seats, but the advertising you're doing is really good. So, what's that next level?
I mean, I guess that's the biggest question. I think, like, you know, I sort of go off a rule of like the 3-game rule. If you can get people here, the first game's always, unless you're a sport fan and you know you lads are sort of lads and you're into sport and stuff like that. You know, one game might get you here. I think like generally I find like 3 games for somebody just a fresh person. They'll go, they won't have a clue what's going on. They might be like, wow, this is amazing, like what's going on? Or really not. Yeah. Next game they come and it's like they start to see more and see what it is. And then the 3rd game, usually if they come back for 3, you've got them. And it's like, and I find like with hockey fans in general, I think it's very like, because it's so different to what we're used to in England. Like we're growing up with football and rugby at the end of the day. You know, it is very different, and it's like there's so much going on that a night, even though, like, I mean, you can watch football now and just be bored for 90 minutes. Yeah. So there is so much going on. It's like, you know, if you want entertainment and you want sort of like fast and action, there's nothing better than live sport. So when you see a sport like this live and you realise actually, like, you know, when you're on the side and you can hear how hard it is and the hits and, you know, and the fans are involved, and especially I think like at this level, because, you know, at the end of the day there's a lot of like lads from Hull, but a lot of British lads, you know, and I've always said this, you know, at the end of the day them boys, they care about it more. You know, you get great imports, they love it, you know, they come in here and they love it, and we've got some great ones, but the care from the home players, like especially the ones that are from, you know, Hull, or it does, mate. Yeah, because I've been one. I get it. Yeah. You do care because you've got reputation there. You've got people watching. You just won't have it that you're just gonna, you know, waltz around out there. You've got to like dig in, and that's just like the mentality thing. But yeah, look, I think it's like this league is a great watch. This year it's got better, massive, like really quickly. This has been a real growth year for the league, I think, and. I think most nights are a good watch, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned in your interview the other week, you know, that any team can beat any other team on any given night, and there couldn't have been a truer statement, in my opinion, because we've seen it, haven't we? The amount of games will come away shocked. Not just our result, but results across the league. You know, like Swindon dropping points to Bees and that. Like you just wouldn't expect it, and it just proves
to the sort of carnival of it, doesn't it? Like you said about getting those extra players in and stuff like that.
That's what you want. I think you know. I think what's great about this league now is all the owners essentially run the league, so everyone sort of gets it that look, we want a competitive league and we want every night to be a good watch, because at the end of the day it's bums on seats. You know, so you know. Better players coming into the league, that puts bums on seats, but competitive games where you don't know who's going to win, you know, that's the key, because it's exciting. Yeah, you might lose, but you know, like look, we lost on Sunday, but I guarantee if this was, or even you lads have been coming a long time, like that's entertainment. Yeah. You know, for me, I hated it at the end, but like you go away from that and you're like, wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah, 2 hours deterred of hockey because of that game, hasn't it? No. 6-5 overtime.
Yeah. And it's in them moments you get to see the passion of the players, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they try and dig deep and come out.
Yeah.
In terms of so going back to obviously like the balancing the coach and the owner sort of.
Yeah.
Like, obviously this is your first club, like, you know, with you retiring and first season and stuff like that. Was it a bit of an eye-opener? Was it as expected, or has it been a bit of an eye-opener? And obviously you say like every season you're trying to build up and things like that. Like, were you aware of what you were having to like dive into sort of thing before you started it up, or has it been more than expected? Or
yeah, I thought I did. I thought I knew everything about it.
And here we go.
Yeah, it was quickly. Yeah, it's mental. Like you just don't understand from when you're playing. you get what's going on a little bit, and you sort of know how hard it is for any team to like run, but it's just not your thought process, and it shouldn't be. You're not there to do that, you're there to play, and you turn up, you do your job, you play as well as you can, and you try and win. But then you go home, and you don't need to take anything else home with you. So look, when I started this, it was like right, you know, I want this club to be back to the top, and I want it to be here for a long time. But like, what entails with that is there's so many little things that I didn't think about. I don't think you could have, because there's that many little things and things that you just like, wow. And it's been a massive sort of adjustment in my life, to be fair. Like, not just me, but my missus. We've got young kids, and honestly, it's a daily thing. Like, and to be fair, like, you know, there's no other way of doing it. Like, you couldn't do this halfway. You've got to be all in. Especially obviously I'm coaching as well, so that brings, you know, another thing attached to it. And, you know, I try and sort of, you know, compartmentalise the different parts of it all. So obviously the business is the business, and that's essentially what it is. So, you know, the business needs things, and we need to do certain things, and, you know, along the way there's been things that have made it easier a little bit, and sort of, you know, the more that you're here, obviously, you know, the bigger you get, the more cash flow, the more revenue, the more fans, the more, you know, then that brings other things, like we can, you know, hire Callum full time, we can, you know, we've got more media people, we've got, you know, so that makes, like, particularly my job a lot easier, because at first it was just everything. It was just like, you know, and Joe was doing his things, and it was just all over the place. And but look, it's like I think everyone that's started something like this has been in the same boat, but you don't realise that. You're just like, oh yeah, it'd be sound, we'll just, you know, I'll just run the club and
just run a club,
coach it and that, and it'll just we'll just have a right laugh and that. Yeah, like, it's mad. Like, you just, and like I say, now it's turning. Look, now you can see, look, we'll be the 4th year next year, and you're like, right, you know, we can really see something now. Yeah. You know, and I think everyone can that comes here, and that's the pleasing thing, you know, that there's people that really care about it, the fans are all in, and that's all I can ask, really.
Yeah. In terms of the whole product, like you say, it has gone on and on as the season's gone. You know, things like Connor and Callum are massive parts of it, and like even India, you know, like with the close-ups or behind the goals and stuff like that, like, that has played a massive part of it. And I think, well, do you think that has channeled through to the amount of people coming in? Like, it is a massive part of it. Like, when you look at other teams, and I'm not going to name names and things like that, but obviously we like to put like the results and stuff like that on, and sometimes it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night and they've not even put their final result up, you know, stuff like that. As a fan, if that was my team, I'd be a little bit frustrated, but it's like Seahawks, it's just on it, aren't they?
Yeah, look, I think from day one, I always said, like, from day one, I want to run this, like, as good as I can as an elite league club. So, like, we're in this league, but I wanted to try and get to, and I'm not saying we are, but I wanted to strive to that, you know. So you look at what Sheffield Steelers do, you look at what Cardiff do, look at, like, what we're doing and what people do in this league, because you've got to get better, you've got to move past that, and you've got to look at what these big, massive teams are doing, let's be honest. So, look, it was like, that's what we want to strive towards. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of teething processes in that, and you know, there was a long time where, you know, Callum was doing it for nothing, and with Mal in the background who does all our design, like, he does a lot. You know, there was loads of different people just doing things for us, but there was never any real, like, you know, set basis of, no, this is what we do. And obviously, hiring Callum has been able to do that. That's his job, to make sure things are done. So, you know, and it's massive. It's a massive part of it. And, like, anyone who says maybe it's not as big as they might think, then you're probably not 21 to 35 years old or 40 years. Like, honestly, the world now is media. It's media. We're essentially, and I say this all the time, like, because I run a gym as well, you're an entertainment company, you're a media company first. And at the end of the day, how are people going to see it? There's so many fans that have been coming for a long time, and they'll always come, and we love them and they're great, but it's not them that we're really we're not pushing things out for them because they already know about it. It's the other people that, we know because we live in Hull, but there's so many people in Hull. It's such a small but big place. A lot of people that love sport, that want to do something at a weekend, that love rugby league. They probably grew up with it, maybe sick of it, and maybe it's not been the best of times. Whatever city, people are only going to see that on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all that stuff. That's how it gets out there, and that's the world today. And India coming in this year, I think it's been massive for us. The shots that she's getting down low, it's great. Yeah, and the highlights package is getting better, and all that them things that it massively matters, and it will matter going forward because it won't change. That's the world now. You lads doing this is testament to that. That the fact that you want to jump on things and let people know what's going on with not only us but the full league. You know what I mean? Because I think the league's only going to get better. More commercial, more eyeballs on it. So that's the world.
Yeah, we did say, didn't we? Not so long back, as a fan, you've got to take some responsibility for getting it out there as well. So that's one of the reasons we did what we're doing now, isn't it? Just trying to get the word out.
I want to go back to obviously you saying about the league, obviously progressing the future. 5 Flyers. How would you feel about them dropping into our league? If that's obviously where they go.
Yeah, I think it's you could. Where does that conversation stop? You could keep going with this, and you'd end up with you could say there's 20 teams in this league at some point, because it's not just Fife. You're looking at the other, potentially the other Scottish teams that might be finding the elite league difficult. There's also teams below us that you'd think, oh, they'd be great in this league. To comment on anything like that until we see something real, and there's all sorts of things people are hearing and all sorts, but at the end of the day it's there's probably a lot of things to happen before that it can get to that stage, and look, what I do know is this league, and I suppose the package of this league is for someone as like an ownership group or a person or a team, it's got to be looking pretty good to people now, because I think everyone knows the numbers and the people that are coming through the doors. People won't like hearing this, but no one cares about Elite League or the second league. The general person, they don't care. As long as they're watching a good product, and I'm talking about ice hockey fans here and normal fans. If they're watching a good product that has really good players and it's competitive, fans don't care, because at the end of the day they're there to be entertained. If it's entertaining what you're watching, whether it's a load of British lads and a few imports or all imports, let's be honest, it's I watch a lot of the Elite League. That league's getting a lot better as well, but there's times this league can be a better watch because of the nature of it, and it's a little bit more, it's not as structured. There's a little bit more sort of off the cuff, like it's, in your face, a little bit more British, really, a bit more like lads that are just trying their best. You know what I mean? You don't get Alex Kent in the Elite League.
I'm not having that.
Well, he'll be there next year. We love Slice.
So mentioning Alex Kent and stuff like that, should we delve into this year? How we've been getting on so far? So obviously we started off really well, didn't we? Had a bit of a wobbly period. But obviously that's picked up slightly since Deck's been in. What's in your take? Obviously you probably said this in other interviews and stuff like that, but what's your sort of perspective right now? I know last week, or a bit before, I might be misquoting you, but you said that the title might be a little bit out of reach now, but the focus now is on sort of playoffs. So with everything that's been going on, do you feel like Deck's been a massive part of that? And obviously, what are your sights now? Are they solely on the playoffs, and where's the sort of camp at now in terms of their headspace?
Yeah, I think as a whole, I think the year's been. I think it's personally, I'm slightly disappointed because. I think that, you look at the team now, and I mean like all the players that are here, and including Dave into this, obviously he's not fit at the minute, but, if you look at the team, it's like, when we've got everybody and we're playing it, you'd like to think we'd have been higher, right? But that's just, to be honest, a load of shit in it, because we're not. So right now it's like, look, yeah, we're not going to win the league. I'm not daft, we're not. But what we can do is have a really good end to the year, and make sure, and this is a message from me to the lads, and it's true. We make this year, we turn it from what could be a disappointing year to a really good end to it, potentially really, really good. So it's up to us and up to the boys to make that happen, because look, we started really well. Touching on the deck thing, it massively changed the team. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, we didn't really need him, or I'm just be honest, because I am always. But yeah, you lose Deck and it changes the team completely. Look, sign the team with Deck in mind. So yeah. when you look at it like that, it's Dave Phillips didn't come in to replace Deck.
He was always going to be there anyway.
He was always there, and with the the six, with the six that I've got now, with Dave back and Josh here and Spraggs as well, I think we've got a very good six. And looking back at that bad sort of run, yeah, it was tough times, mate. It was really, really tough, because the lads weren't trying. We lost our way a little bit in our game and how we was playing, but a lot of that, I think, came down to, we lost Haywood. We was very short on D. Dave was playing, but he'd had a couple of knocks, and he, and we just look, the other side of the game. We know it's not really been our problem, and I don't ever think it would be or will be, because of how sort of talented and how we play as a team is very offensive and in your face, and we want to dominate the puck. The other side of that, I think, we lost games, and it, you could look back as a really, tough time, because we didn't get beat by, like, we weren't getting killed in games. Yeah. It was like 1 or 2 goals here and there, and we lost some massive leads, and where we should have gone on and won the game. And that's like, that's tougher to take, because, we was in positions there. So it is what it is. But, look, when Deck comes back, it's not rocket science. It completely, he puts the team back to exactly where it should be.
Almost straight away as well, wasn't it? I mean, he had a game
immediately.
Night, showed for a bit of rust, and then he was
immediately.
Like...
Look, Deck Barmer, I couldn't, I could talk about him all night, but he'd love that, so I won't. He epitomises what this club is to me, because like, he was the first person I signed. He's everything I want in a player, leader, D-man. I've said it before, he's the best British D-man in the league. I don't care what anyone says. It's not even a debate in my mind. It's not even close either. He's every single team would sign Deck Barmer in a second. Yeah. And it's, look, you put him back in, and it changes a lot of people's games in terms of the other team.
How they approach us.
Exactly, and also our lads, and knowing that you've got someone like that covers the ice so well, plays so many minutes, is good offensively, but he'll always be there defensively and be in your face. And no matter what, there's been a couple of games he's not played his best, but he's always there. He's always
just
there.
a presence.
Like
you say, if I was a forward and you're looking up and you're seeing him there, and you're just like, I'm not going to
fancy
going round him, because he's going to absolutely
see
knock
that
you
sash in your life. I don't know about this. Yeah, mate. He's just all in here, and he's just Seahawks more than anything. I just think, it's a shame. It is a shame, because look, you can look at it and be like, even if we was 6 points better than we are now, it's a different thing. But we're not, so we've just got to deal with it and get on with it and have a really good end to the year. And my focus now is getting us into a position where, right now it's more about performance for me than points, and getting us our game to a level where I think it's going to be like battle ready and playoff tested, and we go into them games, and then in them games performance is out the window and it's all about points, and you just play, and whatever you need to do to win, you get it done. So yeah, that's where we are now, and I think we've got a good chance, and I think we've got a team that's sort of, and I said this before to somebody else, but I think we've got a team, and this is why I signed the team I did, because the league's very hard to win, but I knew I had a team this year that wouldn't give up, and they'd be in the fight, and they're built for games like that later down the stretch when and we've shown this year that we can come back and do that. There's a lot of like dogs in that team, and I mean dogs in steel dogs, but I've played with them all. I know what they're like. They're horrible, and they'll do what's needed to win. And I don't mean like in a dirty way. I mean like they'll do like the hard, horrible stuff that's needed to be done to win games.
Like you said last time, that they'd rather die.
I said about Milton Keynes, the game on Sunday.
And
I
we've
said,
got some players in our team that way. Like
they'd rather have died than giving us that win.
Every time, like Hodge, for example, was on the ice, like you just can see that he'd rather die than let that puck go.
And look, that's what I want in my players. If people ask me sort of what players, everyone says, you want hard workers and you want good people and all that stuff. Yeah. Like that's a standard answer that everyone wants. I want people that have sore losers and would rather die than fucking lose, because that's how I was, and that's how I see this club and everyone attached to it being really. And look, I think like you can go off last year and sort of look at where we this year to last year and stuff, and what we didn't have last year was that. You look at last year's team to this year's team. I think like. Obviously, look, Brock was an unreal player, and we love Finn and all that. But what we've added this year, and this is what I say, it's a different team. Is we've got a team that's willing to do them things. Last year we was rock and roll and score or bust. It's like we're scoring, we might concede, concede 6, but. Yeah, and this year I didn't want that. And what annoyed me a lot about, in some games especially this year, Saturday being one of them, but going back to that bad stretch, was that's when we've been bad, we've played like that. It's score or bust, and in that time it was like how many breakaways and 2-on-1s was given away. And I hated it, and we needed to get that out of our game, and we did a lot of work on it on video and just conversations and getting us back to the right way, and fair play to the lads because they've dug in and got where we are now. So
we've said that about the likes of Emmy, haven't we, in the past few weeks. Emmy, like I'm always under the belief that your import shouldn't be getting into the nitty-gritty fighting sort of scene, but like Emmy's in there. When he got hold of Amel on Sunday, dragged him down. I love to see that.
His face,
like you say, when you see your guys like that, willing just we aren't going to stand there and let you do this to us. It's class to see.
It's interesting with Emmy because, and it's always a big talking point with people that ask me about him or whatever. And honestly, like the growth in Emmy this year, it might be noticeable to some of our fans that have like come in for a long time and seen him from the first year, third year. But the growth in Emmy this year has been massive for me. And we've had a lot of conversations one-on-one about it, and I've said it a million times to him that the way he plays or did play a lot of his games and still does at times, perimeter and wants the puck in nice areas, and he's got the best shot in the league. Well, Bricknell, him and him, they're like very similar. They want to play on the outside. He needed to change his game a little bit, and he needed to become that a little bit more. And what we're seeing now, there's a couple of clips from the weekend actually that I've got ready for the lads, and it's just that, it's that stuff. It's him holding on to the puck and get the fuck off me, and he's 6'3", 4", like he can do what he wants at times on the ice, and good luck to you. But he's got this side of him that does switch off a little bit defensively and underneath the puck, and they're the things that they're the things I'm working on him with a lot of it, because I want him to become more of a complete player than just that.
A luxury player.
Because I don't think now you can afford to have it.
No.
I think the league's got to a point now where everyone, that you've got in your team needs to play the right way, the way you want them all to play.
If you don't play your role, then
and you look at Leeds, it's the same. We always go back to Leeds, but it's true. Why I brought Johnny in. Better resume, better player, you would say, but that kid is a dog. Like, he is a dog, and like, he reminds me of Barron a lot. Different player in a way, but Matt Barron from Leeds is underrated massively in what he does off the puck and how he blocks shots, and it's massive. And that's how you win. You can have all the nice stuff and the tic tac and the great goals all you want. Honestly, it doesn't win you anything. You've got to have the other side of it. You've got to have everybody invested in the other side of it to win.
I think it shows. I mean, we have like a bit of an inside joke. We call our third line the Ratters. Because literally, as soon as they go on the ice, they are just
like
ratting
Russell's down a rabbit hole.
No matter who's on that puck, they're just straight into them and they're giving it all sorts.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's kudos to you for what you've done with it.
Well, I'm just like the farmer that screams at the Jack Russells going
down the rabbit hole like
that.
Don't be giving him a break while
it don't matter who's on that third line either, does it? There's five blokes in the last couple of months who's been playing in there, and every single one of them does the same thing, don't they? They're going to make it uncomfortable.
It doesn't even matter about ability or, like you say, they haven't scored in God knows how long. They're just straight in there. You don't want that, do you? Like you say, if you're trying to hold up your own D zone, you look it up and there's just some kid coming at you. No.
You know what? That third line this year, no one really talks about Deck Jones much, but honestly, can't tell you how like important he is to this team. Like, what he's done the past 2 years, but more this year, he kills penalties now, and he's very good.
That's
at
another
it.
thing we've noticed.
We said something about him getting short-handed goals. I said DJ doesn't tend to get loads of goals, but when he does, it's like a shorty where he just nicks it. And
He's an animal, that kid. Honestly, see him off the ice. He's jacked. He's massive. He goes to pure gym for a laugh. Like, that line's been unreal all year, and I was starting. It's a shame with the Brutes and Spursy, because I started to play them against the best lines in the league, and it allowed me to let Sobbs' line go against like a third line and obviously we know how that goes. So, but look, Slice and Carrot have come in and done unbelievable, and at times have been the best lines. And you're right. What I do like when Spurs is in there, he just gives it that little bit of like, they let they'll buck and go, and and he does just give it that little bit of stability and that little bit of experience that I think at times they do lack, and they're gonna, because they're 19, 18. It's just
you can sometimes jump in a bit too soon, can't you? Like you say, 1-2 passes and then you're out the game anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, we won't take up too much more of your time, Matty. So
appreciate it, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We're behind you. We've all got our tickets for Cov, haven't we? Seen them being.
They've gone well, haven't they? Yeah. Love that.
We
put a message on and that, and said thanks to everyone, and I think that just gives it'll give the lads a little bit more of a right, it's time to get there this year. Obviously last year was very disappointing, wasn't it? And I think this year, they all know. They all, they've been. A lot of them are experienced and done it, so they've been there and they know how to get there. So, we'll. The message is we get there minimum, and that's where we're going. So, it's great. I'd love to see just a load of Seahawks there. You know what I mean?
We'll be there in numbers, won't we?
Yeah, it's class. So, I appreciate it, and I think you're doing, like you said, great job. I think it's great that people from Hull are getting on and doing these sorts of things. It's like the Maccas boys and banners on the wall, 4,000, all them lads. It's just better for the game. More people get eyes and ears on the game. It's only going to help. So fair play.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. So we'll come to the point of the podcast where we talk about the upcoming fixtures. So this weekend, it's a bit of a different one because we've got the cup final, lads. So it's Saturday and Sunday, I believe, back to back. Romford Raiders, Leeds Knights. What are you thinking?
I can only see it going one way, to be honest. Both games. I think the same, to be honest with you, after seeing the Raiders come to Hull. We sort of. I know they say finals can be anyone's game. You just got to show up and do your thing.
Absolutely, and you know what? If Romford do it, I'm chuffed for them. Fair play, because it's good for the league as well to
yeah.
see another team taking it. But yeah, I do think it'll go Leeds both nights.
Yeah. We're predicting scores, or do you think it'll be heavy?
I can see one being close, one maybe like a 6-4, but then I think like maybe on the second night, like Leeds will just.
I was going to say that. I think at Romford, I think it'll be close. And remember, it goes in aggregate as well. So I could, like you said, maybe like a goal or two for Leeds, even the opposite way, like Romford getting a great result. But not many teams go to the Castle and get a result, do they?
No.
Especially with that atmosphere that Leeds are going to have at home. I just think second night. Although I would like the Raiders to win, and I'm hoping that they win. Sorry, Leeds fans, but I really would like Raiders to win. I've said it last week, and I'll say it again now. I'll die on that hill.
Means a bit more for Leeds, done it, because the second night, so they could lift the obviously cup in their own gaff. Which,
well, they could go if they do this. They could go for the treble, couldn't they? This league and the playoffs.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So we'll move on to back to league action then for the weekend. So
starting on the 15th.
So first game. I said about obviously Milton Keynes fixtures.
Saturday game.
It's a double header. Saturday, Sunday, and it's a Swindon Wildcats in Milton Keynes.
You sort of feel sorry for MK, don't you?
They're getting battered with a fish, aren't they?
But
Every
to
time
be
they get
fair,
up.
like if you want to see like championship quality, this is where it's got to be shown now.
Sure.
The hard games, if they're all the cracked up to be and going to win the title, then unfortunately you're going to have to make some of it easier.
Yeah.
What do you think?
God, this is tough. I'm going to say MK on both.
I was thinking the same, and it goes back to exactly what I said before.
One at a time.
Alright.
I'm just never here.
I just
This
think,
one's at Swindon. MK both here.
I do. I just think again, like I said when it was Seahawks and Milton Keynes, they'd rather die than give us away.
Yeah.
And this could be the turning point. Like we said, it's that close at the top. I mean, can I just Swindon take both games?
That's a great point that has as well. Leeds are going to be playing on these 2 nights as well, so this is an opportunity for Milton Keynes almost to put more pressure on them, get 2 points ahead, and if they get a 4-point weekend, it's like you've got to catch us
5
now.
points ahead.
Yeah.
We've also got to know, obviously, Swindon had a few nervy results recently, so
Yeah. Solway going last week and putting 5 past them when they're fresh.
Yeah. What's an MK team going to come and do? You just don't know, do you? So I'm going to go MK.
Yeah, I'm going to go MK.
I'm going to be controversial, and I'm going to say Swindon are going to upset the balance.
He is a Swindon fan.
I'm not a Swindon fan.
Yeah. Moving on then, we've got Bristol Pitbulls against the Peterborough Phantoms.
Could be a tough game. Pitbulls might put something into it. I think Peterborough will probably come out with it in the end. I think it'll be a close game though, if I'm honest. I think I'm going to go for another like 6-4 or 6-5 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. Definitely think Peterborough are going to come out with a win, but it could be closer than you think.
Yeah.
So, what do you reckon?
I think with Levine in goal, with the way he's been playing recently, and the people that they've got on those forward lines, I think it'll be comfortable for Peterborough. Unfortunately, I'd like to see Bristol prove me wrong for our sake, for Seahawks' sake, but I think it'll be Peterborough comfortably.
Okay, so we've got Sheffield Steel Dogs against the Berkshire Bees.
Bees.
He loves it, doesn't he? Alright, before we carry on, I've heard he's got his tattoo booked in for the end of the season.
Gonna get it on like the back of my thigh.
I love bees.
Lower back.
Just so I can squat with a stinger.
Alright, on to predictions. What do you reckon?
No, generally, I do want to back the Bees on this one. I think Sheffield can be good, they can be bad, and I hope the Bees make it a bit of a scrappy game, and I hope they take it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I would sort of like the Bees to go and do the business, but I just think Steel Dogs have got a bit too much class in that team to give away these sort of points. Yeah. So I'll go Steel Dogs.
All goes down to personnel again, lads. What did I say the other week? If they've got the big hitters, Bjorkley, Nordstrom, Ulrich, obviously they've got Walker Sommer and Sam Tremblay, and they have got a lot of quality in that team. I think if they've got the quality on the night, I think with the atmosphere at Ice Sheffield, or obviously the arena, all 12 of them, I think they'll be winning comfortably, unfortunately, as I'm sorry about that.
Dressing as chairs.
Alright, so then Solway, Hull Seahawks.
Again, we've just mentioned, obviously their games this weekend just gone. they scored a lot of goals but didn't get any points, and Seahawks have this tendency in the past few weeks where they maybe just drop off for a second period or something, and I hope that we've put the game to bed by then, because if the Solway get a hint of blood in the water, Sharks, they might actually fancy it. So
yeah, I think we'll do this one, to be honest. We're coming into this tail end of the season where the points really matter, and our boys seem really up to it. We was talking on the interview with Matty how great some of these players are, and that they would rather die than lose this stuff, and they're just winners all around. So I just see us coming away. I'm not sure we'll run away with it, but we'll definitely get the result.
Yeah. I think I agree with that in terms of the attitude of the players and stuff like that. But I think also on the flip side, Solway have had 2 road games this weekend. People are going to be coming to them. Obviously, they're back on the road on the Sunday, but this will be one on home ice where they've been practicing all weekend, where they'll really need a result if they're going to catch Telford in that 8th spot. But I do think Seahawks will make it through, but I don't think it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the Sunday fixtures. Start with a double header again. MK Swindon.
Yeah, we won't linger on this one too long. I think we both just said that we'd go for Milton Keynes in both these games.
I'm thinking I'm going to go one apiece here. I think Milton Keynes at home, although obviously it was reversed last week and Leeds got the result. I think they'll have a point to prove, and I think, especially in the circumstances that they're under at the moment, I think the crowd will get behind them and that'll give them an extra push. So I'm going to go Milton Keynes as well.
Okay. Seahawks, Steel Dogs.
Not the only cup final of the weekend, obviously.
Our gaff this time. Our gaff.
Our gaff. It's a big one, this, and I think it's bigger for Sheffield if they want to try and take 4th spot off us. Obviously, we've got a game in hand on them.
It is, but we need to right a wrong from last time.
I think we do. I think, as bad as it sounds, I think if we beat Sheffield, that puts them in the bin. Catch us, if I'm honest. I think then it's Peterborough we need to worry about. Yeah.
So, Seahawks for me.
Seahawks.
Please, Seahawks, if you're watching this, please don't get sucked into the it'll be beeps, don't worry. Please don't get sucked into it. Play your game, because when you play your game, you beat these every day of the week. In our rink.
They've got to come to the birdcage, and they don't want that smoke.
They don't want the smoke. But yeah, Seahawks, providing everything goes smoothly. Yeah. Which against Sheffield,
but one of the other times it was mainly Hewitt, wasn't it? Winding him up, so he's on our side now. So hopefully,
Leonardo Hayward for a 6-point night this week, and I'm calling it now.
I think there'll be a big crowd, and I think that could get us over the line. To be fair,
was great.
Get into them.
All right, then. So moving on, Batch B, Solway Sharks.
Bees. It's an interesting one for Solway. Obviously, you mentioned Solway at home on the Saturday. They'll be travelling to the Bees on Sunday. Obviously, it depends what happens with the Seahawks. If we give the Solway Sharks a bit of a pummeling, are they really going to be fancying the travel and playing the Bees?
I'm going to go Bees on this one. Yeah. Home ice as well, so
Bees.
Solway need to win this game, but Sunday nights in Berkshire. It's like Stoke City away on a Tuesday night. Yeah. It's an hard place to go and get a point. I'm gonna go here, lads. I'm gonna back Berkshire.
There you are. Look at that.
The full TSS back in the Bees on Sunday night. Love it.
So final game on a Sunday: Telford Tigers, Bristol Pitbulls.
A fresh Telford Tigers.
Yeah. So obviously we've just mentioned Solway and the games that they've got this weekend. Obviously Telford keeping an eye on them, trying to keep that sort of 8th place going. Big game for Telford, that. Massive game against the Bulldogs.
Yeah. I'm going Telford, obviously.
Yeah, big fan. Kitty Claus and the rest. Yeah, I'm going to join you. I think Telford will do it. I think it'll be a tight game. Do you know what? I think it'll go to overtime.
Good stuff. You know what I was about to say? I don't think. Again, I said last week about managers pointing out fixtures and stuff. This is going to be one that the Bristol are going to be looking at for sure. Yeah. If they can get a decent result or keep it close against Peterborough and build a tiny bit of momentum, won't be the easiest game for Telford this. Do think Telford will get over the line though. I think their form recently has been really good on it, so I'm going to back Telford with you boys.
Cool. Okay, so we've got a couple of midweek games to cover. Starting on Tuesday, 18th of Feb.
The potential cup winners made it, perhaps in action, catching up on their games.
Steel Dogs, Leeds Knights, Yorkshire Derby.
Yeah, it is, but as you just said, obviously Leeds have got the cup final over the Saturday and the Sunday, and then quickly on the Tuesday, they've got to play in this game. You know, whether they win or not, as you like to say, a sticky game, that could be a sticky one for Leeds.
100%.
That, you know, yes, we've won the cup. How much are you excited to get the cup though? Got to go there, and then you've got to keep your cup momentum potentially going into your league. And obviously Milton Keynes against Swindon, if they can take big games against Swindon, they could be looking up at Milton Keynes saying, you know, we're 5-6 points behind and we can't let it drop.
Yeah, I think Leeds have, you know, they've been in these positions and before they know how it's done. I think the class and experience will come through and they'll get the win there.
I'm gonna go for Sheffield.
You know what? I'm going to go for Sheffield as well. It's a Tuesday night. Steelers won't be playing. They're going to have the full free reign of all those two ways. Back it up, get some minutes in the tank. Go on, boys. If you was on fourth line for Steelers last night, go play first or second line against this Leeds. And you know what? After and those games on weekend, I don't think we can say that Romford is just going to lay down. They're not. No. They're going to be hard games. If it gets sticky or whatever, you know, it's going to be aggressive. There's going to be hits going in. They're going to not want to. Again, we always say it, don't we? They're not. They'd rather die than lose that cup final. Yeah. So Leeds are going to be fatigued, I think, and you know Sheffield. Sheffield can go places and get results. Mm-hmm. We can't deny that, can we? So I think potentially Sheffield could upset the title race here. I'm going to go for Sheffield as well. Yeah.
Okay, so final games cover for the week: Peterborough Phantoms and Telford Tigers on the Wednesday night.
Yeah, for me, obviously, as a Seahawks fan, I'm looking at Telford, your boys.
Well, I was actually going to go Peterborough for this one.
Was you actually?
Yeah.
You're supposed to back your own, mate.
Some fan.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Telford beat Peterborough there. Keeps them off our back a bit more. You know, makes me feel a bit more comfortable for that fourth spot. And you know, I think it's big for Telford as well. Like we've just said, they're trying to keep hold of that last playoff spot now. So a big win for them against Peterborough would be massive.
Yeah, I just think Peterborough will do it. They know they're in the race, so they're going to want to get these points, and I do think they've got enough class there to get it over the line. What do you reckon?
I think Peterborough are going to win it as well. I think Bristol and I think Solway and I think everybody else around them are going to be crossing their fingers and hoping the same. But you know, Peterborough showed last week, didn't they, what they can do midweek at home. Yeah. And with an import goalkeeper, I keep saying goalkeeper, an import netman who's not at work on the site or in the office all day, he can have his feet up, get his head screwed on for that game. Yeah. I think Peterborough. Yeah.
Yeah. Some good fixtures coming up then.
Yeah.
So to review these next time.
That concludes the fixtures for the upcoming week and midweek. And that finishes our podcast for this week. Big thank you once again for everybody getting involved. We hope you really enjoy our big talking point / interview this week. And we want to say a big thank you for everybody getting involved on our socials. We put a few polls up this week and had some great feedback. So big thank you from me and the boys. Anything to add?
No, I think you covered it nicely there, man.
Thank you to Matty as well for obviously being our first ever interviewee. Yeah. And hopefully the response of Matty being on the podcast will be great for us, and that's sort of something that we've discussed before we even started. How great would it be to get to X, Y, and Z after 7 episodes? Being in that sort of position where we can speak to Matty and as just season pass over to Seahawks is great, isn't it? So long may that continue, and if you want to be on the podcast, hit us up. Yeah.
No, just keep the likes, comments, follows, subscriptions incoming, guys. It's very much appreciated, and we'll look forward to see you on the next one.
I'm Matty Davis, and you're watching the Slapshot Syndicate.